Today to a new constitution, a document designed to build consensus which protects religious freedom and women's rights. Indeed, it's being hailed as one of the most progressive constitutions in the Arab world. Here's a look at some of the details of the text. Olivia Salazar-Winspear.
It's been a long time coming. Finally, Tunisia has adopted its new constitution. The vote was preceded by months of heated debate on key issues, notably the place of religion in the country. The document opens by declaring Islam the official faith of Tunisia, but Article 6 guarantees freedom of religion.
The state protects religion, guarantees freedom of belief and conscience and religious practices.
Yet even that has its limitations, because the constitution also states that any future president must be Muslim.
Running for the position of President of the Republic shall be a right entitled to every male and female voter who holds Tunisian nationality since birth, whose religion is Islam.
And while Article 15 guarantees the impartiality of schools and universities,
the state guarantees the impartiality of educational institutions away from partisan instrumentalisation.
Article 38 is designed to ensure students are taught about Arab Islamic identity and history.
The state shall work to embed youth in the Arab Islamic identity and strengthen and promote the Arabic language and expand its usage.
But even secular lawmakers are satisfied with the text. Rim Majoub says the interpretation and application of the constitution is key.
A constitution is not enough to achieve democracy. It's simply a text. It must be applied. It must be used properly. And we have to get used to democracy. This is a real test. We started 2 years ago when everyone had their own ideas, their own plans, and there was a split at one point. No one wanted to cede any power to anyone else, and now we've managed to get around the table and come to a compromise.
Many female MPs are pleased with the provisions for women in the constitution, like Article 45, which states,
the state commits to protecting women's achieved rights and seeks to support and develop them. The state guarantees equal opportunities between men and women.
The text also promises the state will seek equality of representation between the sexes and will work to eliminate violence against women.
Well, for more on that story, we can go now to Tunisia, to Tunis, to speak to Amna Goulali, who's a spokesperson for Human Rights Watch in Tunisia. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. First of all, this document is being hailed as the most progressive in the Arab world. Is that something you agree with?
I think this document indeed has very strong guarantees for equality of rights between men and women. It has also enshrined key political, civil, social and economic rights that are consistent with international norms and international law. And it has also very strong guarantees against abuses, future abuses from rulers, from the state, such as the Constitutional Court, such as a chapter on the independence of the judiciary, which has very good guarantees for the judges, for prohibition on any undue interference with the judiciary. So I think it has quite balanced elements that will also protect human rights in the future.
Now, of course, this constitution has been a long time in the making. There have been many twists and turns in the tale of its writing. It's been, in the end, a difficult thing for the country to agree upon.
Yes, before the adoption of this constitution, the transition for a long time, especially after the assassination of Mohamed Brahmi, a left-wing politician from the National Constituent Assembly, it seemed that the transition was off track and that there will be a lot of problems ahead. And however, I think that all the political parties and all the constituencies in Tunisia across the political spectrum have succeeded in coming to a consensus on the constitution, and this consensus is also demonstrated by the overwhelming majority of votes on the constitution. It was passed yesterday with 200 voices out of 217, and this shows that despite all the political squabbles and the wrangles between the different political parties inside the National Constituent Assembly, there was a consensus and there was an agreement on the basic principles for the future of Tunisia.
One of the key factors, of course, in allowing this situation to improve and the constitution indeed to be agreed upon was Ennahda's decision to stand down and to allow the creation of a transitional government ahead of new elections.
Yes, exactly. I think there was this was the result of a whole process also brokered by independent organizations such as the Labour Organization, the Tunisian League for Human Rights. All these organizations brought a roadmap for Tunisia in which there were three elements. First of all, the completion and the adoption of the constitution. Then the second one was the stepping down of the old government and the appointment of a new government of caretaker government formed by technocrats who will not present themselves for the future elections and will try to redress the situation, which is quite difficult from the standpoint of the economy. The economy is in tatters. Also, the security situation was very difficult for a while, and there are always very big threats against the security of Tunisia from armed groups, terrorist groups. So all this roadmap, I think, is now on track, and the future is based or hinges on whether the new government and the National Constituent Assembly, which will continue its work during the transition period until the elections, the legislative and presidential elections, will be successful in leading this transition.
Now, the comparison has often been made between Tunisia and Egypt, that other country in which the Arab Spring successfully overthrew the president who'd been in charge, where the revolution concluded with the overthrow of the government. The two countries chose very different paths. Tunisia has very much concentrated on the drafting of its constitution first. Egypt went down the road of elections before the constitution was drafted, and that has led to all kinds of problems. Is the fact that this constitution's now been adopted a sign that, in fact, Tunisia chose the right route in redefining itself?
I think as the voting yesterday on the constitution shows, there is quite a large consensus on this constitution, but also on the future, the political path for the future that Tunisia has to follow. There is a new government now, and I think all these elements show that despite all the disagreement, despite all the wrangles that existed between political parties, they have decided to make a consensus and to have compromises on the major issues in order to not to set this transition off trail. So this is completely different indeed from Egypt, where, first of all, the constitutional process in Egypt since the beginning under the rule of Morsi was not inclusive as it was in Tunisia. You know that the National Constituent Assembly has joined different sensitivities and different ideological visions. And at the end, the document that we have in front of us is the result of an inclusive participatory process in which different parts of the society, also outside of the political sphere, have participated in its elaboration.
Amna Gouelali joining us there from Tunisia. Thank you very much indeed. A look there at the country's new constitution, this constitution being hailed as an important step in the birthplace of the Arab Spring. It is 27 minutes past 6 here in Paris. A quick break now, and then the headlines. Do stay with us.
What do you want from your news website? France24.com, giving you easier access to information and faster for a unique experience. France24.com, the international news website.